The US government recently issued a sudden warning to its citizens: don't travel alone in India, especially if you're a woman. Why? Because of the risk of sexual assault, terrorism, and communal violence. And that's not an off-the-cuff tweet from Trump. No, that's a formal travel advisory from the US State Department as of June 2025. Let's pause for a second here. India has spent the last decade bending over backwards for Washington, buying overpriced oil and weapons, copying American talking points, parroting shared democratic values in every press conference. Modi even rushed to Washington right after Donald Trump's inauguration, hoping for a grand welcome. But all he got was a low-key, brown carpet welcome and a level 2 travel advisory warning telling Americans that if you're a woman, don't go there alone. Think about how humiliating that is. After all that appeasement, all that flattery, all those deals, India still isn't trusted, still not respected, and clearly still not considered safe. Let's break this down. In January 2025, just days after Donald Trump was sworn in for his second term, Narendra Modi hopped on a jet to Washington, trying to be one of the first foreign leaders to congratulate him. You'd expect some red carpet treatment, right? Maybe a joint statement or a fancy dinner. Nope. None of that happened. There was no fanfare, no warm embrace, no howdy Modi, just a rushed, low-key visit where Modi was quietly pressured into making more one-sided deals. According to reports, Modi was cornered into buying another $10 billion worth of American oil and liquefied natural gas, despite cheaper alternatives available from Iran and Russia. And just like last time, he nodded along. Why? Because India still believes that if you just keep pleasing America, eventually they'll treat you like a friend. But what actually happened? India was once again forced to accept high tariffs on key exports: steel, pharmaceuticals, and electronics. Trump's America First playbook didn't change just because India showed up with a smile. And when India tried to protest, Washington didn't even blink. As if that wasn't enough, Modi also agreed to quietly take back tens of thousands of undocumented Indian nationals living in the US, a move that pleased Trump's anti-immigration base but sparked no outrage from Indian media. Everyone pretended like this was normal. And then came the kicker. Just a few months after that trip, the US State Department updated its travel advisory for India. It specifically warned Americans about rape, terrorism, and religious violence, urging women not to travel alone. You could almost hear the slap across South Block in Delhi, louder than the Indian immigrants partying all night in Canada and keeping their neighbors awake. After all the money spent, all the weapons bought, all the national pride swallowed, this is what India gets in return. But here's the uncomfortable truth. The advisory wasn't wrong. India has a rape crisis that shows no sign of slowing down. According to India's own National Crime Records Bureau, a woman is raped every 14 to 16 minutes. And that's just reported cases. The real number is almost certainly higher. Tourists have been harassed, stalked, assaulted, sometimes in broad daylight. High-profile cases like the 2012 Delhi gang rape shocked the world. But even that didn't lead to lasting reforms. It's still not safe. Not for Indian women, and definitely not for foreign women traveling alone. Just look at the short on my channel of a Turkish woman who visited India and immediately had men staring at her like a hungry dog staring at a rabbit. The advisory also mentions terrorism and religious unrest, and again, it's not exaggerating. In Kashmir, grenade attacks and shootings continue despite the government's claims of peace. In the Northeast, insurgent groups are still active. And across much of the country, religious violence, especially against Muslims and Christians, has grown worse. 500,000 soldiers are stationed in Kashmir, just to stamp out any form of protest with brutal authority. Mob lynchings, temple riots, fake WhatsApp rumors that lead to real people being burned alive. This isn't a Bollywood movie. This is the real India that the rest of the world sees. And no amount of economic spin or flashy marketing campaigns can hide that. And you know what's really tragic? India used to have leverage. Back in the 2000s, when its economy was growing fast and its democracy still had a bit of credibility, countries listened. India had options, balancing ties with the US, Russia, China, and the global South. It wasn't anyone's lapdog. There was extreme optimism in the air. But under Modi, all that disappeared. Instead of optimism in the air, it was replaced with cow dung and thick smog. Now, India has staked everything on one bet, that if it just hugs America tight enough, tighter than that awkward hug Modi and Trump shared, then everything will be okay. But America doesn't see it that way, and it never did. When China negotiates with the US, it does it from a position of power. It pushes back. It defends its sovereignty. It sets conditions. When tariffs were levied on China, what did they do? They said that they would fight to the bitter end. That's real power. But India just signs whatever's put in front of it, then throws a parade back home, spinning it as a win with the help of WhatsApp University valedictorian Palki Sharma and the rest of the Godi media. You see it in the $20 billion defense deals that benefit U.S. contractors more than Indian soldiers as they're forced to buy F-35 jets. You see it in the joint statements that say shared values, while back home journalists are jailed, minorities are lynched, and universities are raided. You see it in Modi's own desperation to be photographed with every American president, while ignoring the fact that India is being laughed at in diplomatic circles. Because here's the brutal truth. India is not respected. The U.S. doesn't see India as an equal. It sees it as a customer, a market, a useful pawn in its game against China. Washington knows India will buy whatever it's told to buy, say whatever it's told to say, and stay silent even when insulted, like right now. Because if Modi really had spine, he'd respond to that travel advisory. He'd demand it be revoked. He'd point out the hypocrisy, how the U.S. has its own issues with mass shootings, racial violence, and police brutality. But he won't, because he's too busy smiling for photos, too busy puffing his 56-inch chest, too busy being a comical master in parliament instead of passing laws that benefit his country. And in the meantime, Indian citizens, especially women, are being failed, not just by society, but by their leaders. The justice system doesn't protect them. The police often blame them. And now even foreign governments are issuing warnings about it. And the worst part? The Indian government isn't angry at the U.S. for saying it. It's angry at anyone who dares to agree. Truly lapdog behavior. This isn't sovereignty. This isn't foreign policy. This is begging. So next time you hear someone say, India is a rising power, ask them this. If India is really rising, why is the world warning its citizens not to go there? Why is the U.S., India's so-called strategic partner, still treating it like a risky destination instead of a reliable ally? The truth is, you can't buy respect. Not with oil deals, not with arms imports, and not with flattering speeches. Respect comes from strength, from integrity, from calling out injustice at home before chasing applause abroad. And right now, India has none of that. None. If you found this video entertaining, then please like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.